The global economy is racing to slow down and eventually halt the spread of COVID-19, a pandemic that has claimed thousands of lives and sickened tens of thousands of others. In Africa, the virus has spread to dozens of countries within weeks. Government and health authorities across the continent are striving to limit widespread infections. Welcome to another episode of TVN Business Daily. I am Chiwendu Sisegu, and today we shall be getting the views of African countries on the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the start of the outbreak, the World Health Organization has been supporting African governments with early detection by providing thousands of COVID-19 testing kits to countries, training dozens of health workers, and strengthening surveillance in communities. Basically, we shall be discussing on the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic on African countries. But first, let's look at what is happening in the business world. The Senate on Tuesday granted approval to President Muhammadu Buhari to borrow 850 billion naira to finance the 2020 budget. This is aside the federal government's 500 billion naira economic stimulus package to caution the debilitating impact of the coronavirus pandemic, which is likely to be reviewed upward. Buhari had approached the Senate seeking approval for the loan in line with the provision of the 1919 Constitution. The President's request was contained in a letter read on the floor of the Senate by the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawal. According to Buhari, the fresh loan will be sourced from the Nigerian domestic capital market to help fund critical capital projects. Buhari said in the light of the global economy, it was prudent to source the new loan from the domestic market at this time, pointing out that the conditions were quite favorable. The Senate considered Buhari's request and granted approval. The Central Bank of Nigeria has directed deposit money banks to attend to customers who wish to clear checks. In a statement by Sam Okojere, director of the CBN Banking Services Department, the suspension placed on the check clearing has been lifted effective April 28. The Apex Bank had on March 30th suspended check clearing in relation to the lockdown in Lagos, Ogun, and Abuja announced by President Muhammadu Buhari. The statement published on the CBN website read that in furtherance of its effort in the development of a safe and efficient payment system in Nigeria, the bank in collaboration with relevant stakeholders has reviewed the need for check clearing to accommodate users of the check as one of the payment instruments in Nigeria despite lockdown of some states and FCT. Ahead of this year Workers' Day, popularly known as May Day, frontline organizations in the organized private sector have called on the federal government to support the sector with stimulus packages. The organizations include the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Nigerian Employers Consultative Association. They said the stimulus packages were necessary to forestall job losses and ensure business continuity even after the coronavirus pandemic. The Director General LCCI, Dr. Muda Yusuf, noted that as the workers mark the year's Workers' Day, government should be concerned about business sustainability in the formal sector. Trading on the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange on Tuesday maintained a bullish trend following gains recorded majorly by blue chip stock. The major market performance measures, the NSE All-Share Index and market capitalization rose by 0.49% as market sentiment extended its gaining strike following investors' sustained optimism on undervalued stock. Market breadth closed positive as the number of gainers at the close of trading section was 18, while decliners closed at 10. Consequently, the all-share index gained 148.07 basic points or 0.49% to close at 22,727.87 as against 22,616.28 recorded the previous day, while the market capitalization of equities appreciated by 58 billion naira or 49% to close at 11.844 trillion naira from 11.786 trillion naira as market sentiment remained on the green zone. And that's the business update on Television Nigeria. I am Chiwendu Sisegu. Now we shall be looking at the views of African countries on the economic impact of COVID-19 pandemic on their businesses and the economy. So stay with us. Just as in Nigeria, various other countries in Africa have taken various steps in combating the COVID-19 pandemic. These measures often impacting businesses and economy. Television Nigerian correspondent sought to ascertain status of compliance with COVID-19 lockdown and how livelihoods are thriving in various cities of Africa and across the world. Respondents from select cities in Africa of Ghana, Morocco, Namibia, the Gambia, Egypt, and others assessed extent of compliance with lockdown, analyzed impacts on businesses in the city, and gave the general outlook. As it stands, Africa has registered 27,385 confirmed cases, 1,297 deaths, and 8,172 recoveries, occasioning various safety measures taken so far.
My name is Asanda Lubelo, and I'm usually a student living in Cape Town, South Africa, but I did come home to Bahikeng, Northwest Province after the outbreak of COVID-19 to observe social distancing. As a country, we are currently observing a nationwide lockdown in which our activity is severely limited. We cannot leave our homes unless it is to seek medical care or food or other essential services. And so we are currently on day 28 of 35 of this lockdown. And we are sitting at about 3,600 cases with about 1,500 recoveries. And we're still seeing an increase in those cases of COVID-19. But this could be due to increased testing efforts from the government. It also could be due to non-compliance. South Africa is one of the most unequal countries in the world, and so people at the bottom end of the income distribution are really suffering during this time. Our country is also very densely populated in particular areas, and so those areas are finding it difficult to observe social distancing. So for people at the bottom end of the income distribution, economic activity is fueled by small businesses and informal trading, which have been severely affected by the lockdown.
Hi everyone, my name is Iman Kabiri. I'm from Morocco. I live in Rabat and I'm a business lawyer. So I'm here today to talk about COVID-19 and how the Moroccan government handled the situation, also how the Moroccans respond. First of all, I would like to thank His Majesty the King Mohammed VI for his quick response to face this pandemic very early on, ordering the creation of an emergency fund, raising more than 32 billion Moroccan dirhams. The Ministry of Finance began to make cash transfers to vulnerable citizens, especially those who have lost their jobs. And the updates are communicated daily by the Ministry of Health, and the biggest hospital in Africa was built and occupied in a record time of 10 days. Actually, people gradually began to take this pandemic situation very seriously. So, as they saw what happened in Italy and other parts of the world, and most of businesses are closed due to the aggressive measures taken by government to contain the virus, and other parts, schools, mosques, and cafe shops were closed, and with the exception, of course, exception of food markets, wearing masks become crucial as the Moroccan government ordered factories to mass produce masks, about 5 million pieces a day, distributed all over the country, making them cheap and available to the public.
Hello everyone, I am Alpha MKLO, Banjul de Gambia. Today I seek out to do three things quickly: the circumstance of COVID-19 in the Gambia, people's level of compliance with the lockdown regulations given by WHO and the Gambia government, and the impact of COVID-19 on business. To start with, as I speak, we have 10 confirmed cases in the Gambia, out of which 6 are said to have recovered, 3 are still active, and 1 unfortunately died. May I hasten to commend our health workers for their hard work and resilience. However, our health system is not fully equipped. We still rely on MRC for all tests to be conducted. COVID-19 has adversely affected business in the Gambia, most particularly on small and medium-sized enterprises. This can also be noticed in the transport system because the input that these people make on their businesses does not commensurate the output or the cash flow that they have, simply because government decides to lock down businesses, close businesses, especially those that are not embarked on essential goods or food stuff, and also reduce cost of fares, but does not significantly reduce the cost of fuel, and this is definitely affecting those that are involved in it. I will recommend that the Gambia government engage on relief packages in the form of tax or reduction of prices or subsidy. This will surely help those that live from hand to mouth.
Hi everyone, my name is Epafras Golo. I'm a Namibian citizen. I'm going to give a brief introduction of the COVID-19 circumstances in my country. I'm going to assess the extent of compliance with the lockdown regulations and analyze the effect of COVID-19 on business. COVID-19 is reshaping the world order. COVID-19 is exposing the competences of the government. COVID-19 is disrupting the market. Citizens are forced to isolation. Citizens are forced to self-quarantine, and traditional education is on suspension. The rate of unemployment is increasing, and people in the informal settlements are forced to share bedrooms. As part of the people's social life, parties are not allowed at this moment. The only parties that are allowed are the parties of the elites from the ruling party. The ordinary citizens in my home country are law-abiding citizens, and they are adhering to the regulations of COVID-19. We don't have the accurate number of cases that have been tested positive here in Namibia, and we don't have any intercommunity transmitted disease because of our incapacity to carry out or roll out mass testing.
My name is Victoria Seshi. I'm speaking from Accra, Ghana. In Accra, in Ghana, in general, as at 22nd April 2020, we had about 1,154 tested positive cases with 120 recoveries and 9 deaths officially. So we had a 3 weeks lockdown that was imposed on the 2 most affected cities, which were Accra and Kumasi. And as at the beginning of this week, the lockdown was lifted. Even though during the lockdown, how to comply with the lockdown, it was a bit difficult due to hunger from some people and the bad organization of sharing of foods, where people were not observing social distancing in sharing the food. So, and all that were some of the reasons why people felt like they want to come out of their room and they want to go about their businesses. So the government announced the lifting of the lockdown as at Monday, this week Monday. The businesses that were affected were the informal sector businesses. and the tourism sector like it is in every part of the world. You know, a country like Ghana where most of our revenues come from the informal sector, so the informal sector was affected. But as we speak, there is no lockdown. People are going about their businesses, and you hardly see people complying with the social distancing rules and all that. But we believe with time things will be in order, because the people were rejoicing over the lifting of the lockdown, thinking that the coronavirus sickness is over.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Alavissa Sanahmat, depuis N'Djamena au Tchad. Je vous parle aujourd'hui de